Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
But at the church, though,
Tawali man, what's up?
man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimum.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
The second day of February 2026. I must, on behalf of Digital TV, apologize for some bit of a delay of 15 minutes. That's not how we do things, but there were unforeseen issues that we couldn't start on and in time. But nonetheless, we're here. Gladly, we have two of the amidst the studios tonight. We have Honorable Awich Pollar and also Mr. Joseph Ochieno, and my extreme left is Mr. Andrew Irumba. It's been quite some time ever since we last had the three, but also these two close to me. Of course, with no doubt, we all know what has been happening in this country ever since we rolled into the electoral cycle. Honorable Awich, just like his so many colleagues, was traversing the entire country to ensure that he continues and the team protecting the gains and convincing people on how they ought to protect the gains. Next to him, Mr. Joseph Ochieno, I want to believe he was also moving the whole country telling people on how there were no gains to protect. So he is with us. At the extreme end, Mr. Andrew Irumba. I do not know whether he was for either or protecting the gains or no gains protect. Honorable Awich Pollar, say hello to our viewers, and of course, precisely, I want to believe that you also congratulate Ugandans upon, of course, entering 2026, but most importantly, having gone through the electoral cycle, which is literally closing come next this very week, Wednesday 4th. Say hello to our viewers, sir.
Yeah, good evening, viewers, and good evening, my colleagues in the studio. Nice to be here. We always want to be here every week, but sometimes circumstances don't allow, like you have ably explained. But I also like to take this opportunity to thank Ugandans and viewers for the just concluded election. As you all know, we have been in the media trying to explain so many things, but normally my baseline is that the voters will decide. The voters are the judges, and I'd always prayed that they would judge in my favor. Indeed, they did, with a very resounding victory of 71% coming to 72. This is really pleasing because among other things is that this campaign was secretariat-led with the structures. We didn't have a task force, so we did it ourselves because we did not believe that when the party delegates power to us, we then delegate it to a task force. So we did not want to delegate a power already delegated to us. We did it ourselves, and we are happy that it came. I was in charge Lango because we zoned ourselves, and my zone did so well. I really am so happy with the voters, because right now Lango votes like any district in Ankole. We vote like Rwampara, we vote like Ibanda.
They have the gains.
90%. We are now voting the same rate, and everywhere is yellow. So I thank the people. I also thank my opponents who did not think that because our theme was
Protecting the gains.
Protecting the gains. Some thought there was no gains, but we said gains are visible, people sleep, people are happy. Life expectancy has increased, the infrastructure is there, we see the roads, the bridges. So those are the gains. Some of them thought the gains were individual gains, or what we have in the bank or in the material houses that we build or in our pocket. No, it was not personal gain, it was societal gain, it was national gains. And some of them are spiritual and some non-material, and others are material. So we thank the people, and happy to be here. And actually, coming from the victory, I don't have much to say. Even if my friends talk,
speak for themselves.
Even if my friends talk, I will keep quiet and said we go back home, because I don't need to. The results are seen, so I'm here to listen.
Mr. Ochieno, he has nothing much to say. Their gains can speak for themselves. But say hello to our viewers, and then we shall come back to his statement.
It's good to be here after some time. And it's also true that on at least one occasion in the last 12 months, some of the technicalities we faced here were directly results of the failures of the Comrade Awichis in their system, which we don't go into details of. So what gains to protect, I don't know. The elections are over-ish. Come Wednesday, I think they will conclude. But I don't really think there is much to celebrate about. To the extent that there are no street parades in Kampala for the 71%, to the extent that the official leader of opposition is at large, to the extent that the wife of the official leader of opposition was humiliated, not by the police, but by the police and army in their private residence, and the fact that some of their leaders are still missing, the fact that one of our close friends, personal friend and colleague, without prejudice, Comrade Awich and I, Sarah Biriti, did not vote. And she's one of the most important leading voices for pluralism in this country. One of the few women today who are net examples for young women in this country, whom many women, and I know personally, look up to, because wherever I go around the country, people tell me that they hold her in high regards. She didn't vote because she was behind bars. I don't know what gains. The fact that Comrade Awich is talking about this 80% in Lango. Lango only voted that because Lango is predominantly leading UPC, because we did not have a candidate. And not because of the conversation of my brother, Jimmy Akena. Of course we have issues. But in the event that UPC had a presidential candidate, whoever it was, NRA would not have got a majority, meaning Museveni would not have got 49% in Lango. And they know it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they decided that UPC should suffer legal ineptitude over 10 years. And so leading to the last elections, you know, that the situation at the moment is we are leaderless, and we're leaderless simply because of the loss by the judiciary, that the matters of political leadership can stay in court and take 5 years. And it's a shame. But that said, I would still have congratulated NRA, even if they got 51%. But that Mr. Museveni and his team decided to lock the internet. These guys decided to lock the internet in this day and age, and to lock it 2 days to the elections. That I know a woman who was due for an exam, the day before, international exams, and she couldn't do it online. And the fact that people got stranded, I did not vote. One of the reasons is because I transact online. So I had nobody to borrow money for. I decided not to go and beg for money, you know, in order to fuel my car and then go and find myself comfortable in the East, because the following day was my planned day to travel. So I decided not to. Travel. So I didn't. Something that I've fought for a long time. The fact that I think candidates, particularly non-NRA candidates, were substantially disadvantaged, because NRA candidates must have known that they were going to break the thing, cowardly, you know. So non-NRA candidates would have planned to contact their agents the day before, things like that. They couldn't transact money the day before. They couldn't. A local, without prejudice, Munyankole woman from whom I buy groceries was telling me of how, you know, most of our customers, you get them online. They couldn't. That is that particular inconvenience. But why I'm giving this introductory thing in that context is, after the elections and then social media partially returns, and you begin to see the videos, beyond the tortures, beyond the experiences of the Chagulanyis and others, but particularly the videos of ballot taking, ballots, including in my own constituency. There's one doing the rounds, Comrade Awich, you're a lawyer, allegedly from Guaragwara Primary School, you know, in my constituency. And quite clearly, these people are saying, this one, you know, this one. Where's the box for the president? Where's the box for women candidates? Something like that. And you hear in the background somebody saying in the Padola that no, we are okay here. You concentrate on that one, meaning this is the person holding on this operation. It's extremely criminal. But that said, it's very difficult not to expect that that is a reflection of what happened in the country. Or maybe that's one of the reasons why these guys locked the internet. Total cowardice. These guys are cowards today in 2026, shockingly, as well as they're cowards in 1980, that when after they lost the elections, they had no substance to present, but they said to go and fight in the military.
Let's hold it there. I'll of course ask Mr. Andrew Irumba. I do not know where he belongs, whether for the gains, whether for no gains, or an independent opinion. But say hello to our viewers, and then we shall dive deeper into the topical discussion, which is literally to interrogate on how best do we deal with the shortcomings that all of us could have seen and ensure that we have free, fair, and credible elections come some other time. But tell a lot to our viewers, and then he, of course, much as he says he has nothing much to, his fruits speak for themselves. I will, of course, come back to him, and he has to kick off the discussion. Say hello to our viewers, Mr. Irumba.
Well, viewers, very good evening. I'm glad to be here again after a long time.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to also meet my two elders here. Mr. Joseph Ochieno is my usual suspect. This one we drink coffee together every other day when we want. But my elder, even in Pan-Africanism, Rtd Awich Pollar is the one that I've taken long without meeting. They have been crisscrossing the country with bullion vans. I hope you are aware. Those guys had much that they've been managing. If you explain to Mr. Awich Pollar, and he never called you.
Please remember me.
I have heard you saying you did not go to vote because you transacted on the cut-off, so you didn't have something. But the phones were on.
You should have called you.
Pollar did not call you.
Comrade Awich, why did you remember me, my brother?
Those guys were moving with bullion vans. Each person's boot was full of.
You have proof to that.
Yes, you know I'm a journalist.
Even on the voting day,
They had.
on the voting day, this is the lane. They're in the lane.
Yeah.
There, they are giving money. I'm not saying him particularly, but these are things I saw with myself. So my brother Norman, me, I am a Pan-Africanist, and I speak what others fear. This is what I have lived on. I am among those very few people. I know Mr. Ochieno will not allow, because political parties, in a way, are also businesses. They are businesses.
Some, yeah.
But I belong to that school of thought that we do not need, especially, presidential elections in Uganda.
I don't disagree.
Summarize your why.
We do not need presidential, especially presidential elections in Uganda. We can go for the lower elections, members of parliament, chairman, and so on. Yeah, but even those, when you look at the stake, when the Awich Pollars were young, that time you didn't need money to be a leader. It was just your character and your qualities. Today, even if you are a fool, but with money, you can be a leader. So things have changed.
Repeat that. What?
Today, even if you're a fool, but you have money, you can be a leader. They call you a leader.
Okay.
Yet there are days.
They can call you a leader, okay? You can
yet there are days. You would only be a leader if you had the qualities of a leader.
And substance, yes.
Now
things have changed. Now it's money. Money determines. That's why even the entire Uganda as a country, you needed to first put aside 71 trillion for you to organize an election. I want you to imagine, Uganda has a debt of 70 trillion. We had debt.
71, I think.
71 or something.
And that is the same amount of money that we put in a one-day exercise, elections. Somebody tells you that we have bought, verification, voter verification machines at 400 billion, primarily to conduct free and fair presidential, not LOC3.
Presidential and parliamentary.
It was primarily for presidential.
Parliamentary.
As early as 6 a.m. they are not working. But nobody is going to take responsibility. Now to justify the 400 billion, they now bring it at the last election. The local council election. Why? They want to justify that the spend was okay. Because if it had not worked at all in any exercise, we would say, please, pack your things, take them back, and give us our what? Our money. Now, the supplier will say, you have already used the machines. And I'm sure he's getting these ideas from our very own Ugandans who were working with him
Deal makers.
on getting those machines. So they tell him, technically and legally, there is no way they will have, they will ask you to refund. You know, they have used them. There is evidence that they have used them. Because they did not ask them from us that they will only conduct presidential. No, they wanted machines for elections. Yes. So that is already a legal, technical knockout. That when you ask them they did not work, they will say, no, they worked. Here is the evidence. And they are getting this advice from our very own people here who stole with them. Somebody tells you that every electoral cycle, the security budget has to triple. Why? It's time for them to make money. I come from Chanza. Go right now, go to Chanza, Kungu, Kira, right now at night. They are 50 times more brighter than these lights that are now on site. They are building day and night.
And if for politicians and saturated
The
personnel.
election has ended, now it is time to build. They cannot bank this money in the banks, they will trace them. So they put them in mansions. You find somebody has built apartments, about 6 flats. There is only a car keeping them at the gate. You get it? That is where we have gone. That's why I tell you, Comrade Norman, Fort Potomitiana Road has taken about 8 years without being worked on.
Terrible.
It's like, I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there like 3 or so months.
Last time I was with my elder here at Mountains of the Moon. But for him, he had a monster car. I don't know whether he felt it. But me who came in a smaller
they
car,
don't feel it.
we met there. So he knows the network of that.
How poor the road
yes.
is to Fort Poto.
The 400 billion that they have given to these machines, the 71 trillion that they have given to this electoral process, the budget that they increased to give security, the what? Now you've even seen that there is a tendency of completing the cycle. You see, if they had finished the presidential elections and nobody goes to the Supreme Court to take a case, then the judges wouldn't have eaten. They have to complete the cycle. So they do it intentionally. Somebody must have been calling Gwe.
But you see,
you must bring it.
Mr.
You
Irumba,
must bring.
You sound
the
like
person.
Wait a second, Mr. Irumba. You know, with how you sound, it's as if there is some bit of a script that, you know, this is page 1,
exactly,
page 2,
yes,
page 3,
yes,
and page 4.
Yes, yes, it is a script. They have ensured that they have to finish the entire
script.
Now, somebody,
so how does the script end?
By going to the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court is going to eat money and then finally give you exactly what you expected. What you expected.
What do we expect?
There is no change that President Museveni was the duly elected president. That is not going to change.
Okay, let's stop it
now. Let me finish, my brother. So I think you have seen, this has been the
script.
Now there is another script from the opposition side now. You have seen today, have you seen?
Mr. Ochieno, please pay attention.
Now there is another script from the opposition. Because all these guys are in politics, not politics. Now from the opposition side, you have seen today the press conference by PPF. What are they saying? They are rejecting the outcomes and they are mobilizing society, the public, to reject also, but they are calling the opposition members to come together, galvanize energy, and put pressure. You put pressure on an elected president of Uganda when you fail to put it on him during elections.
So that's another page in a script.
That's another script. There is going to be a budget. It may not come from, I'm telling you, it is going to come from the Western world, the Europeans, the Bazungu. Actually, right now after that press statement, I'm sure emails have started moving, attaching the video. I have finished. Now the next thing is to attach budget. We are in stupidity from January to December. 5 years.
Over the script. Okay, the Pan-African...
so scrap off the election.
That's the colleagues watching us, that's Irumba for you and for all of us. He speaks what others fear. Anyhow, now we're back to Honorable Awich Pollar. You were in charge of the...
Of script 1.
Yeah. In accordance to what Irumba says. So, not to say that it's a script, but let's ask an honest question before we dive deep into...
with the accent like in Kenya on social media, saying there was reading. I could imagine that I think they are living in another world, not this one. The Kenyan person definitely is living in another country, not this one. But for those who are saying in Uganda, it's like they are living in another world, not this world, planet Earth. Because even you pick a district now, say Utuke posted this for Museveni, this for any other candidate. Go to Utuke, pick a village constituency, say constituency X. Let me see it. You will go there. They'll tell you this is what we counted. Now, if they're saying that we are that good at rigging, how comes that we could rig to 85%? What was difficult with pushing it to 99? If we are that good at rigging?
Because Uganda is not Rwanda.
Colleagues, now you have.
But you are smart.
Through. Oh, you have. No, you now have his question. When I come to you, proceed, sir.
So that is what they're saying. For us, election was fair. Waited for the counting. Counted when everybody was seeing. God is there, is a witness. And now some people come and just throw in words there.
God.
Now, people have tended to really produce lots of conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theory without any iota of truth. You see, there's what is called the truth. I've said this before. Truth is a materiality achieved by our senses. Our sense of taste, which is the tongue, our sense of sight, which is the eye, our sense of hear, which is the ear, our sense of touch, which is the skin.
To feel.
We have the senses of truth. But none of our friends who are manufacturing conspiracies, nothing of any truth at all. They come and manufacture conspiracy theory and imaginations and imagination, and they expect the world to believe in a world of imaginations and dreams. This is very unfair to this country. We know there's truth, and truth is that materiality. That we see and we form our consciousness. And it is around this truth that an ordinary Uganda feels a sense of the needs of a person. Food, clothing, security, health, education, and it is what we have been emphasizing as NRM, and it is what translates to voting. Our friends who keep themselves into moving away from the truth to manufacture conspiracy theory end up in this situation without the votes, and they keep about. So, to be precise to your question, this election was credible. For us in NRM, we did it without even a task force. We designed our campaign strategy by the secretariat, used our organ from the village to the district. And you could even see that the campaign was consistent. It was following a consistent and organized pattern. It wasn't haphazard that you find a group in Kasese doing their things, for example, or a group in Ilira doing their things. Even when there are such groups which tended to emerge, it did not derail us from consistent and organized, procedural, scientific approach to the campaign. We ran it successfully, and we are waiting for the results. Now,
Do you want to comment about the monies Mr. Irumba is referring to, that you people of NRM had lots of money in the entire campaign, even on the voting day?
No, the money that we had money allowable within the campaign. For example, the only known money that we did use were money we gave 63 people per village. We call it parish mobilization because we go and call people in a parish. Some parishes have 5 villages. If you were here, in some villages you find a parish, somebody coming like Kajans, still within this parish. So when we had that, we only gave 10,000 for border refund per person for the 63. That is the only money we use.
Maybe that's the money.
So we did it. Now, finally,
No,
I have
that 10,000, that's 63 per parish, times how many parishes in Uganda?
Yeah.
He said they were moving with the bullion, so I'm correcting.
It depended on the organizational capacity of a political party, how your organizational capacity and your logistical capacity. I've also had these sentiments from many people coming that we no longer need election. We all know that Article 1 says power belongs to the people. But I can understand the concerns where this consciousness is coming from. The consciousness is coming from the fact that we beat them completely and they have run away from election. They no longer say, we can't manage this. Forget election, we don't want it. Please, let them accept to be good losers. You lose, you go back to the drawing board. We said, we have lost. How do we organize it? But I've heard many of them having these sentiments that let us abandon voting. When Article 1 says power belongs to the people. So for those who have been beaten and run away from election, for us we shall continue.
Let me ask you an honest question. With what has transpired throughout the campaigns, every single bit of facts as recorded and as all watched, would you still convince yourself and the public that power belongs to people?
What is recorded that you maybe you cite?
With what has been transpiring on media, beatings, and there are so many live examples where Honorable Bobby Wine was attacked in Igulu, talk of Nyakushozi, talk of Mbale, to mention but a few. Security, literally owning up
of occurrence of state alternations with political parties were seen, and those were isolated cases. But for us, in NRM, we even condemned it because we thought that it could even give sympathy to them. We were really against it because we said, we kept insisting that for us as a secretariat, with our structures from the grassroots to the district and above, we told the security agency that please leave us. We are capable to match with our opponents. We have our manifesto which we have executed. We have a new manifesto we have developed. Please let us talk to the people. We assured security that your alkanation will be disadvantageous to us.
Does that
and
mean?
We kept it. So these isolated incidents cannot remove the fact that power belongs to the people. Never.
Does that mean that inter alia security agencies had thought that NRM couldn't win and therefore intended to help you win until you came on board to say we can manage this ourselves?
We did not understand the overzealousness of some state operatives. We wondered why they are overzealous. We thought maybe, we didn't ask them, we thought maybe they think they're acting in our best interest, which was not. We told them we didn't want that. So if it was an overzeal from their side, that was unfortunate. So there was nothing about that. Now there's the element of social media recording, if you may refer to that. You see, at this era, we can't now rely on any social media recording. For example, in law, I am an advocate. In law before, we used to have recording, including photo, as admissible evidence in court. Now you can't admit that in court anymore because there's no truth in it. Yesterday I was seeing on a social media where there are some two pretty girls seated and talking. Somebody used social media, the IT, to simply undress them and put them there. And we were like, oh, these girls came naked, until somebody posted the original photo that, please, this is the original one. Somebody simply undressed them and left them naked. So whatever this has been posted as evidence, just disregard them. Because even now, courts can't admit them. So the election has been very, very free and fair.
And credible.
And maybe about the closure of internet that my colleague mentioned. You see, this current situation, the instant case, in my view, was preemptive. And sometimes when you preempt a situation, you don't value it, the value of a preemptive situation. For example, the house we are in, Possibly to pay a wiring person to wire this house could cost 10 million. But should you not wire this house properly and it catches fire, you now start talking of losses in billions of shillings. Yet you'd have paid 10 million and done it. So the closure of the internet to me was preemptive for those who would want to abuse it. And it saved us, we went peacefully. Remember during Kayunga riot. During Kayunga riot, I kept giving this example. What people would do, they would post a photo of a burning car. That, hey, for us in Kawempe, we have already started burning. What are you waiting for in the bunga there? And it was total chaos. People use social media to do negative mobilization. Somebody posted a photo. We are already burning in Bwaise. Hey, you people in Kireka, you wait there. You are doing nothing. You also start burning. So the way social media was handled, it to me was preemptive, and it did the job for those who wanted to cause chaos using it. So for me, and for those who voted well in the villages, when they hear people talk of rigging here in Kampala, they think you live in another world. Not in the world where they voted in the villages and where it was counted. And we'll find that Museveni has won with 85%. And they left 15%. And you say these are smart takers. They ticked and they left 15%. Really? Okay. Who wouldn't take 99%?
Honorable Ochieno, Honorable Awich Pollar, and I want to ask our colleagues on the panel to kindly be patient with us, because we need you to give us a full picture of this whole thing. In your heart of hearts, were there irregularities in the previous elections?
Previous starting from which one?
I mean, the recently concluded 15th, in particular, presidential and parliamentary.
This current election?
Yeah, sure. In January 2026. Were there any irregularities that you think, even when you are in government, that you think ought to be dealt with?
Irregularities?
Yes.
Irregularities, first of all, by definition, is from the word irregular, meaning something done outside the law or something way outside the law. Now, I don't know whether I could juxtapose it with challenges. I know there were challenges, but if you're asking me irregularities, which in this case is defined as the unlawful act done, I am not aware. But what I know is
examples. Beatings, stopping presidential candidates, some presidential candidates from campaigning, to mention but a few. In fact, even as we speak, we know as a matter of fact that one of the presidential candidates' whereabouts aren't known. So you may proceed from there, sir.
Well, those challenges are there, not irregularities. As you know, irregularities are in terms legal. They are legal in terms. They are legal with clear provisions, okay, which can be cited. Finally. That section, this. But if you talk of the challenge that we go, we have already discussed that. That the challenges could be national and could be party specific. I know some party specific in that they had challenges of their organization and maybe finance. I also know it affected particular candidates, that the challenges were that since the election tended to use a lot of money, the candidates had those challenges, financial challenges. I also know that many occasions we voiced our view that possibly we didn't need as much state agencies alternation with the political parties, but they came out to explain. For example, Electoral Commission and the police were saying, in Electoral Commission they always have meetings and they agree on a route, say in Fort Fortal, to say Bobby Wine is going to pass here. They said that is, they always agree in a meeting. And they said whenever they have argued and had alternations, it is because they have disagreed from the agreed routes. Okay. Those ones were there. So as far as challenges were concerned, it came up to the machine that could not work on the presidential election day. Those were challenges. So there are many challenges which were encountered. And you definitely, as a society or even election of this magnitude, it would be a dream to think that it would go without challenges. But these were challenges which were explicit and seen, and it is different from irregularities which are legal in nature.
Okay, I don't know. It's quite tricky for me to dash to them even when they are boiling concerns that I would want you to address, and then they can summarize.
Ask one more.
Let me ask you, as you finished voting on that day, did you go back home considering Electoral Commission being independent?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Because me, even before counting, to show you that I did, I was even worried and praying that one, have the voters not deceived me? Will this counting come out the way we want? If I knew that Election Commission was subdued and was doing what we wanted, I would have not cared. I would have gone, I don't care whether the voters or not. After all, we have Election Commission. No, we are worried. We are worried because for us, we even reached a point of saying, those of us who have been, including this forum here and this television, we have been doing the work of grinding the millet or the maize, campaigning on the TV to the voters, in institutions, in universities, on the streets and everywhere. Now, that act of campaigning for us, we are grinding the millet or the maize. Now, we were even worried about those who are going to receive the flour, because those ones, we call them vote protection. And we're saying, Banange, please help us. We have been grinding this millet. Should you come now with a ton sack and the flour again goes away, then what would we have done? I would have been grinding this thing, wasting my time grinding. So, as we voted, we knew that the Election Commission was independent. And that is why we were worried. Until counting started, until we started ringing, how is it there? How is it there? If we were sure about that, first of all, you were talking of a lot of money being used. It would be a contradiction to say you have already bought the Election Commission and then you are saying you are carrying money in your boots. Why then waste the money? What a contradiction. Why do we talk one step backward, one step backward? You are the same person accusing us of using a lot of money. And then you are the one saying we should have sat back because Election Commission was bought. Are we talking English, Spanish, or French?
Okay.
How?
Okay,
you are being told we did so much, we put in so much money, and then you are saying, no, you Election Commission was yours. Then why waste the money?
Honorable Awich, had you been one of the presidential candidates, and you, with no doubt, realize that the voter verification machines are non-functional, would you have considered the process being free and fair?
Yes, because as a presidential candidate, they took them through this machine. In fact, the procurement and the systems, presidential candidates, if they were not available, they had sent their agents at the Electoral Commission. So what happened was, they knew Plan A and Plan B. Because every presidential candidate had an agent in the Electoral Commission. Even during the bringing of the machine, even during the training, even during what?
During the
so
failure.
The presidential candidate would have known that the arrangement was, it had happened in Kenya and other countries that machines can pose challenges. So they knew that the alternative was the registry would still be used.
What about during the failure, when they failed to work? Because it's on record that they contacted the president. And I wanted to ask you, as one of the senior NRM officers, in which capacity did the president the use of the physical register?
Come on. First of all, I have to agree that indeed the president was consulted. Two, I have to agree that he okayed it. Now you are telling me rumors, and you want me to discuss rumors. Let us discuss rumors. You want me to discuss rumors? Have I confirmed that the president was consulted? And have I confirmed that he did his views? I mean, I have not confirmed he was consulted. I have not confirmed he agreed. You want me to discuss rumors?
The gentleman
I can't discuss rumors.
Okay. Did you not see the president say that he okayed the EC chairperson to proceed with that?
You risk discussing rumors.
Not really. Begin from there, Mr. Ochieno, on whether or not the election was free, fair, and credible. But of course, not forgetting what I've just mentioned in regards to the non-functionality of the machines.
It was Mr. Museveni's election. It was Mr. Museveni's election. He okayed them, as Comrade Awich is confirming in his way.
That's what?
Comrade Awich,
I have said it is rumors.
Comrade Awich, you spent a long time with him.
You didn't see the president, okay?
You've spent a long time with him.
Okay.
And,
yeah, sure.
and I am surprised that you expected him to say anything else. But fair enough, that was a good attempt from you. But just to tell Comrade Awich that Gwara village in Tororo is not a town. It's a village, and it's not in Kampala.
Does it have AI?
But whatever the case, Comrade Awich is saying villages. So Gwara is in Tororo, and it's not in Kampala, and it's not in Buganda, it's in Bukedi. It's now, except that the new part of the district is undecided, thanks to the NRMS. Number two, the idea that the villages had clear processes. The Ajuri elections, which took place last week in the 18 polling stations, the level of military deployment there, I was there, I was in the north. I spent most, my official command center was Lira. It was as if there was a new Al-Shabaab in Lango. There was absolutely no need for what happened to happen.
Preventive.
And Comrade Awich calls it preventive.
Yeah, you have to highlight
and then number
preventive
three,
measures.
Comrade Awich talks about, it's actually very interesting, talks about people who fear elections. The people who fear elections, the bad losers are Mr. Museveni. I'll tell you what. Comrade Irumba, sometimes when I go into that, in our other discussions over tea, you say it's history, that I like going back. But it's important. People like your producer here may not know that in 1979-80, Mr. Museveni said that we did not need elections. Mr. Museveni, Comrade Awich, your boss said we did not need elections in 1989. Number two, by 1980 said we were not ready for elections. So I think Comrade Awich is right that when people in a minority on the losing side, not necessarily that I agree with the reference to the current opposition, Mr. Museveni, said we did not need it because he knew he had no base and he knew he was going to lose. And indeed, he lost, you know. My fellow Pan-Africanist brother, in 1980, as part of the interim administration, discussions around the Binai Satai, trips had to be made to consult with the Kaunda, consult with Nyerere, and consult with Mozambican comrade whom the new friends of the witches in Washington were Appleton Southern killed, you know, Samora Machel. In all those meetings, a personal friend of mine, an elder, was part of that delegation with Mr. Museveni. In the entire delegation of government, the only person who was arguing against the elections was Mr. Museveni. This was the record of Mr. Museveni. Nyerere found it very strange, considering the agreement that had been had in Moshi, part of the Moshi Unity Conference. Kaunda couldn't understand it. I'm told it was Samora Machel who was sort of nodding a bit to calm down the, quote, revolutionary thing. But even Samora Machel found it very strange, you know, that Comrade Museveni would say, we do not need elections. So that's not true. No, to suggest that the people who've, quote, lost elections here don't want elections is not necessarily true. But I think what Comrade Irumba is saying, we should not be lost out, is the arguments about the presidential elections, very specific. And that is that the whole thing is almost like predetermined. And people are saying, we're wasting huge amount of money on it, meaning whatever you do. And I met a number of people, including a fantastic young lady when I was near my place, who said that initially she was preparing as a team of three, herself, a sister, and two other sisters to go. And then they thought about it and said, well, it's a waste of time traveling all the way to go and vote. But knowing the dynamics of their constituency, the constituency MPs that would be picked would be an NRA person. So was Mr. Museveni. So her argument was that it would be a waste of time. So they didn't. That is in part the argument for Comrade Irumba. The monetization process of elections, that's what Comrade Irumba is saying. And so it is genuinely true that Ugandans are beginning to ask themselves, is it worth it? The outcome is predetermined and it's too costly. That said, we had another conversation about these processes. In the normal processes, my party and my president, late Milton Obote, were believers in the parliamentary systems, Comrade Irumba. The bringing up of the presidential system was done by the Musevenis and their Trump-had friends in Washington who thought they were trying to check Milton Obote and check UPC. That is their madness and excitement in the early 90s when they're busy enjoying their loot in Congo, and their loot elsewhere, and doing deals and blindfolding you Ugandans. Oh yes, new constitution, my foot, one. Oh, new constitution. And some Ugandans also, and by this some Ugandans who even went to the CA. Fantastic people. They wanted to show that they're clever. So bring a presidential system, a parliamentary system. My strong opinion is that it was not necessary, but you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to do it like that so that they check Milton Obote. That's why the presidential terms was targeted at Mr. Obote. The term limits thing was targeted at Milton Obote. Actually, if Uganda was a democracy, I'm saying it officially today, I personally am a believer in the parliamentary system. The problem right now, where we are in dilemma, including me as Ochieno, I'm in a dilemma. To change the constitution at the moment, it is believed, it would be to favor an incumbent military state that has entrenched himself and turned an organization which is NRA, which is basically a military organization, Comrade Awich at the party secretariat, which is operating politically. But the command center is some kind of, which the Comrade Awich don't have control of. And Comrade Awich tells you that for them, for us as a secretariat, we believe it, and I believe him. But the guys who go ahead and whip people, including those people you saw on the screen, those are soldiers. Who's commanding those? So, Comrade Awich, you're running a political organization at Chad on the road. You take a particular position, and some dubious guys in the streets of town are beating people, and you don't have the capacity to check them, and you don't have the capacity to rein on them. You don't have the capacity to summon their ministers, your respective ministers, and you don't have the capacity to summon your chairman. And you and me are friends of the African National Congress. You see the power of progressive, strong political parties, Comrade Irumba. Political parties have got capacity to recall their leaders, their presidents, like they recalled who? Thabo Mbeki. But in this case, do not necessarily be recalling Museveni. But instead, it's Museveni who summons them. So it appears that the NRA Secretariat is a creation of Mr. Museveni. It's an extension. So you do as I wish. It's not surprising that by the new Chief Justice, a decent guy, young, sharp, handsome, very clever, PhD. He goes to swear in. He goes to swear in Museveni's private home. And as a Chief Justice, head of an arm of government. Okay. Terribly extraordinary. So no, this is a fudged process, unfortunately, that we're going to. So, Comrade Irumba, presidential is a debate in that context, but also to agree with you that the arguments about whether or not we go through this process is a waste of time, because sort of is something which is predetermined and the outcome is total. And finally, to present the quote opposition as weak, I think is very unfair. Comrade Museveni begins 5 years earlier using our money with a huge truck of 60 vehicles, including a toilet, you know, to go around the country campaigning. You know, halfway the process, other political parties come in, political leaders come in, they are hounded. UPC's case, they are locked into the judiciary. So that is not fair. I'm not answering you about free and fair kind of stuff. So it wouldn't be that. And so finally, on this, go through the electoral cycle, begin going through the campaign, and you see the Electoral Commission and their machine. Comrade Irumba, I said on television, and I say so today, Comrade Awich, as Uganda People's Congress, we formally demand for an explanation, we formally demand for an investigation, and we formally demand that heads do roll over this failure of this biometric equipment over polling. That heads must roll. And I hope viewers agree with me, agree with us, join us in this campaign. We engage to make sure that we put these guys to task. Not necessarily part because of that money, but I think we need to mitigate impunity and the self-arrogance and the sense of entitlement and the situation in which these guys go ahead and do whatever they want to do to create money to build these funny arcades of theirs down the road in Kungu, as Irumba said. And you know, we pass those places, man. You pass those places and you see these guys, man, and they boast.
Okay.
These guys, they boast. They look like special deputy extended relatives of Jesus. The thing is that some of these people, we know them because some of us have lived around long enough. We know where some of these guys come. Some of these guys were coming from extreme,
but I think
extreme poverty.
You feel good for living in such a development.
Okay,
no, I say I passed there.
crossing to Irumba, what do you make of Honorable Awich's submissions? Because he, with no fear or favor, based on what he has seen, the electoral process was free and fair. Based on what, based on his achievement, of course, as on behalf of NRM, they won genuinely. Pick it up.
Obviously,
what is your take?
Obviously,
with where you have been, I saw some bit of.
Asking Major Awich Pollar that question is like you trying to give a very hard task of a monkey to decide the case of the bush. A monkey, you want it to decide the case of the bush. So, what are the ingredients of a free and fair election? The ingredients, because it's not just a word.
Basic ingredients.
Yes, my brother, we have over 1,000 youth, young people in prison. 1,000. And what is their crime? Their crime is that they supported somebody you didn't like. That's why you are in prison. We have a number of other, very many, over 20 or something, new people who have been in prison since 2021 elections. This other cycle has found them in prison.
Yeah.
Now, you have a voter verification machine whose primary role initially was very much stipulated. And in the parliament, I saw them debating, they said, if we get this machine,
no rigging,
there's no rigging. So it did not do that. If you say it was still free and fair, even without the use of machine, then you are saying that we wasted money to buy the machine. It was useless. Are you seeing the point? Because His Excellency the President in the 2021 elections, NUP allegedly rigged him by 2 million?
2 million or thereabout.
Yes. Now they sat and found a solution. VVK machine. Now you bring them, they don't do the job. Now in the absence of that machine that was supposed to catch thieves, it did not work. It means the thieves did what?
Stole.
It means the thieves stole. Yes. So
some thieves stole.
So when you say it was free and fair, then you are telling us that you hoodwinked us last time to tell us that the machine had a role to play, and that role was key, and we spent 400 billion. You see the point? The other issue is where is your biggest contender? Is he in Magere? The answer is no. Why? Why? Because you believe, you yourself inside yourself, you know what happened, and you suspect this person will contest. And the contest might result into national protests, and that's how
Yeah, actually, I missed the point.
they are trying to mitigate. To the extent that, to know that you're too annoyed for not locating that man, you go for his wife and his family. They even produced a court order asking them to vacate. Instead of vacating, they have erected tents inside somebody's compound, a private property. Those, Mr. Norman, are not signs of a victor. No. There is something that you know that we don't know. First of all, you are making it extremely complicated 2031 for anybody to raise a hand that they also want to stand against you if you're still around. Because they will have seen what Bob Wayne has gone through, they will have seen what Bob is going through. They will have seen what the children of those two parents are going through. You see, they have seen where Kizza Besigye is, the biggest, somebody who has been his biggest threat. Even right now, Besigye's life is, I think, is on God's mercy. So all those are not good signs of a growing democracy and multi-party dispensation. Comrade Norman, Africa had its own model of choosing leaders. Monarchism. But because this system did not exist in Europe and America, and when they came here, they found a lot of resistance through the organization of that monarchism leadership under the kings and the kingdoms. The Europeans found a lot of resistance because people were very organized. Yeah? They decided to undermine and destroy those structures of leadership. That's why they go to the supermarkets in Europe and they bring for us a commodity called multi-party politics by way of voting. They even go back to the supermarket and they tell you, we are going to bring you a product called ballot papers. Now they have gone back to the supermarket and they brought us a product called BVVK. It is going to catch thieves. See, what is our role? We are adopting every rubbish they are bringing us. And we think they are going to give us solutions. Yet actually the real organic way of choosing our leaders, we have seceded from it. And we think that is backwardness. Yet actually, Africa and Uganda were once very peaceful people, countries and continent under our own model of democracy. England does not use the model of democracy America uses. England does not elect a president. You get it? That is the model system that has worked for them. America has its own model. Whether it's working well or not, it is their model. Even Trump, I have seen Trump, by the time Trump leaves, he will have left some loopholes. That system also is not working. They have also started complaining of rigging themselves. Meanwhile, they are saying it to us as the best mode of system to choose our leaders. So, to concretize my earlier submission, I want to end by saying that let Uganda choose its own model of democracy for as long as it serves our interests. Most of these African countries are, you know, taking these elections to appease the Western world. Just to appease them, to make them happy. That's what they want you to do, yes, sir. How much money do you want? 2 billion US dollars. Okay, you have it. So they give you money. Then tomorrow, they come here and bring their own things. Why don't we sit and see what works for us? And that's what the majority will have loved.
Okay. Did you have something to add on?
Yeah, I am just concerned. You know, monarchism is not unique to Africa. In fact, the British have got the most powerful monarchy. That's not the issue. I'm not even sure whether democracy is the issue.
What is the issue?
The issue is the manner in which the global north manipulated certain element of the African elite, which included the kings, by the way. You know, at the peak of slavery, slave traders and slave owners used some of our own African kings. You know, in many cases they conquered them and they had no option. But in some cases, they used these people to, you know, as complicit in trade, slave trade. They moved in from there. They came into Uganda, this thing about exchanging land and ivory for guns and things like that. Those trades did happen. Granted, from the time when we attained in our independence, we had our opportunity to pick our model. In this country, Uganda, and it's possible it's another debate that we can come back to on whether or not multipartyism works and what kind of democracy we should have. I think that helps NRA to get away with it. These guys at independence, granted we're a colony of the British. You know, Comrade Irumba, we took Western style, British style multi-party democracy, parliamentary system. But we chose, for example, to kill the idea of the British system where you report to a governor general who's an appointee of the British. And we created an office of the president, meaning a leaders amongst leaders, a former kind of leader. Israeli president today, I don't even know their name. Italian president don't know their name. German president don't even know their names. You know, they're there, you know? But they do those ceremonial roles. And then we leave the prime ministerial system, the prime minister and government run. Between 1962 and 1971, we had a functioning multi-party democracy that had challenges in 1966, challenges in 1965, granted, you know. But it worked. It delivered for our country, delivered for our citizens, transformed this country, and since then, we have never seen anything like that. In 1980, leading to the elections, we had a Moshi Unity Conference, we had conversations, we agreed that we will return to the process. We came home here, we had a series of conversations. Be nice when the chair started getting sweet for him. He connived, together with Museveni, they were nearly close together and said they didn't want pluralism. For whatever the case, they, quote, defeated. Defeated in the sense that the consultative administrative government that existed, by and large, there's consensus that we should return to pluralism. Between 1980, after the elections, which UPC won and which NRA lost and which DP lost, you know, and 1985, yeah? In spite of NRA, you know, breaking people's necks in Luwero, okay? Government delivered for the people in a pluralist way. Problem is, 1971, the Western powers had to break Ugandan African government because of our position in Congo, our position in Southern Africa, and of course the fact that we had taken ownership of our economy, you know, hence leading to the coup with Idi Amin. So pluralist democracy works. The fact that they used a mean, and second time they used DP and NRA now came. So NRA, instead of doing what they thought they were doing, they're now consolidating themselves and they've turned themselves into a monarchy. That is the problem.
And he mentions you are weak as opposition. So anyhow, let's come back to Honorable Awich Pollar. Inter alia, you mentioned that you did not see any irregularities. Let us highlight that and take it as you stated and go with challenges. Who do we blame? When it comes
The
to
blame on
challenges?
challenges.
Yes.
Who do we blame?
Yes.
But before that, there are comments that my colleagues have made, which I need to comment on before I go to who carries the blame for challenges. My colleague mentioned a deployment in a jury. Now, this deployment in a jury of massive deployment of soldiers, which also was done across the country, a jury should be taken as a litmus test to prove that the deployment of the soldiers was not to rig. I repeat, you see, in other places, there were already feelings that a group of voters or even non-voters would stand in a kakundi and heckle out people who are coming to vote. They even point at you and say, look at the nose. You are coming to vote for Museveni. You look at the nose. So the deployment of the soldiers was meant to assure voters that the state is there, go and vote. If soldiers were deployed for rigging, how then comes that massive deployment in a jury UPC won?
It had to escalate.
How then comes? So you made your case. Okay. It is now. So the deployment was all over, but for purposes of assuring people that the state is there, don't. The soldiers were not even going inside the ring where, you know, they were sellotape put. Soldiers were not even going inside the sellotape, for goodness sake. Soldiers were outside. You could even find them under a tree far from the polling places. And that is why with the massive deployment in a jury, none of the soldiers said, go and change the ballot box. Nothing. They were soldiers, but UPC beat our chief whip. So I want the deployment in a jury to be used as a litmus test for deployment across the country. Voters were just meant to know that when you are coming to vote in Nakawa, nobody stands at a corner and tells you, look at the nose. I know who you are going to vote. Don't vote this. Purposely, that is what it is. If the deployment of soldiers was the case, NRM wouldn't have lost. What about a rumor that the soldiers were threatening the voters?
No way.
Affected their
no way. So I wanted to make that clear, to use a jury deployment as a litmus test, that soldiers were deployed, but not to influence election. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the issue of T-shirts. You see, you can say, for example, in Agago, or in Otuke, or in Chengegwa, or in Gulu, Amoro, that Museveni has won massively. But there are even things that you could see. If you went to the villages, you ride a motorcycle in those villages, or you drive a car, you could even see the sampling of the T-shirts. T-shirts where people have... There were elections when Museveni would lose in the north, Norman. Nobody would wear an NRM thing. Nothing. Even if you took for free, even if you took sacks for free, nobody would wear. He would rather walk without a shirt than put that one on the shirt. So guys would also do some elementary study to see that the love and the support we have generated this time was even seen in mere wearing T-shirts. In the past, even if you took cartons and cartons, nobody would wear. Finally, on the comments is Museveni's views on election in 1980s. My colleagues have said, or my colleague has said, that Museveni was against that election. I can dare say up to now Museveni has not changed his views on the multi-party election. He wasn't against that. You see, in 1980, there was something called Umbrella. Umbrella was a formation in a Moshi conference. Moshi is a town in Tanzania. In Tanzania, when it was eminent that Amin was going to be overthrown, Nyerere deployed Mokapa, who later became president, to call all Ugandan exilees in Moshi to form an umbrella that you guys,
We are now going back. Can we have a unity umbrella? So for those who were acting in good faith like Museveni, they believed in umbrella. So Museveni, when the multi-party election was coming in, it wasn't against election per se, but it was against the nature. It was saying, colleagues, we are back to this separation.
We're not ready.
We are going for this. He was in for umbrella. And that is why his views insisted in Luero until they capture power. His views was forced to alternate when the forces from the Western world, the Cecilia Ogwala and everybody came up to say multi-party. Until views in the party, like the Bidande Sali, said, colleagues, if we think this umbrella called movement is okay, how are we going to take care of people like of Cecilia Ogwala who was saying, you are conscripting us by force to be in the umbrella? That is when we had to hold a referendum to decide whether or not it was against Museveni's will. So it is not true that Museveni has changed his views. So when the referendum was forced on us, even in the constitution we made two options. One, actually three.
Movement system and
that there shall, the political system shall be multi-party, movement system, and any other democratic. So, but the law says, the constitution says, if one is in place, the other one is in abeyance. Meaning that even now, Museveni, that you see, is still saying, you people have forced me into this thing.
Does that,
but remember, a movement is in abeyance.
Does that explain his attitude towards political parties when it comes to beating them up when they organize?
Not beating them up. The philosophical concept of Museveni is that a society has developed, and it is clearly explained in some literature that I wouldn't like to go through, that societies develop from primitive communalism, slave owning, monarchy, that was feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and the rest. So Museveni believes that to have the multi-party that we have, there is a need for a class formation, like you have in America, the capitalist class, this, or the workers' class in the case of the Soviet Union, so that this, in the labor union in UK, that is Converse and Mean, the Labour Party would be advocating the interest of the workers. Yeah. Then the other one are this and that. So Museveni still believes we have not reached that class formation to warrant multi-party. But his hands are tied and caged into this. And therefore, he has no option now than to play by the rule of the game. The constitution was made. But he has been one person standing for umbrella since 1980s. And that has been his position. The referendum forced him. So I want this to be clear, not to make Museveni look like an opportunist who keep changing. His views on umbrella has been clear. And that is why up to now the constitution has movement, political system. It is on standby. In fact, some of us were forced into multi-party. We still believe in the movement, which in the constitution is standby. But that is not to say it will remove us now, as the Roma wanted to say, that we leave election. Power belongs to the people. How else are we going to do it? The contestation is here, unless we go back to the constitution and say we're going back to the movement, which is there in the constitution. Now, to your question.
To the challenges now.
The challenges.
I want to highlight some of the challenges.
You highlight. Then I know the duty bearers.
Yeah, I want to begin with non-functional voter verification machines, for instance. Who do we blame? And how
Electoral Commission.
How can that be?
Electoral Commission. Any other blame?
Okay. Should we ask the same question to the rest of the colleagues?
The military deployment.
The military deployment.
That was a good thing done. You don't need to blame anybody. Thank them for deployment.
Can I just clarify?
Thank them for deployment. I have already said, a second, I hope so.
No. Beyond the general deployment, I must say that the candidate in a jury the night before, they were actually surrounded. They were barricaded by the military. The candidate and a number of UPC leaders. I think Jimmy wasn't there, but a number of UPC leaders. And I was in Lira. And it took really an intervention, various national interventions that I really don't want to go into at the moment, in order for the whole thing to escalate, including the following day, for the record, for me to talk up to and including with the RDC. That is the context within which I'm saying. And in fact, in any case, our campaign teams were generally very concerned that people were feeling very intimidated, and there was a fear that people would not go to participate in the election.
You see what is happening there, and the violence. Electoral violence, by and large, who do we blame it to?
Election violence or could be on all actors.
You're saying that? I think that should be either it was in Sinjiro or otherwise. But there are there's so many instances. So who do we blame it to?
Like for example, I wanted to say violence, a blame on specific actors. For example, in Sinjiro, Sinjiro should be the least district to experience violence. Why? Nearly in all contested positions in Sinjiro, about 90% went unopposed. Councillors, yes, for NRM. Before that, go and check on the registration. I mean, on the process. Election in Sinjiro was nearly, before that, Chairman LC5 went unopposed. The councillors went unopposed. Chairman LC3 went, nearly 95% of elected positions in the Sinjiro were unopposed. So this one was unfortunate. And that's why I'm saying violence is actor specific. We need to lift the veil and see who did what at that time. Where even if it was NRM who did it, we would put the blame there. If it was a noob, we put it there. If it was police, so violence, we can't now make a holistic blame. It is actor specific, and we need to unveil and see who did what. But maybe if you thought you needed more from me about Electoral Commission had all the time to do due diligence. If they didn't do due diligence, they should be called to account for the inability or the failure of the machine to work. So I put it squarely at their door.
Oh, that's what about the disappearances? If we should also slash and call them unlawful arrests and incarceration. And I will mention specific people. Even if I begin with Dr. Lina Zedriga and so many others, who do we blame it to?
The arrest we are talking about is maybe we are differentiating arrest before the voting and after the voting.
During and after.
Now,
and of course without...
You see, the whole thing is that the state, particularly the police, is supposed to maintain law and order. I've always said law and order means whatever you are doing, do it peacefully. If you're going to dance a disco in Anjenoa, dance without breaking the law. Don't pick a bottle and break people's head with a bottle. If you're going to church, go and pray in peace. You don't pick chairs in the church and start breaking people's head. So the same thing is like you are conducting a campaign. Please conduct it within the law. So it therefore did not mean that the state had ceased to exist at that time. So they were still doing their lawful duty of maintaining law and order. Now, if there was anybody in conflict with the law, our prayer, especially as NRM, is that criminal justice should be fast, should be speedy and transparent. Because right now, we do not know why the state agencies acted the way they did. But if they were doing it for purposes of protecting law and order, the cardinal principle should be all criminal justice procedures should be speedy and transparent. And therefore, we call upon those who are involved to do that. We all know the common urge that justice delayed is justice denied. But I know also that the state were doing their work during campaign. Just like I gave the example of a disco dance in Anjenoa or going to church in All Saint Church or Watoto Church. So during the campaign also, that was going. It was not because the state had seized and therefore anybody could break the law. But whatever claim, whatever allegation is brought against somebody, we still demand that criminal justice procedures should be transparent and speedy.
What do you make of what Honorable Awich has alluded to? Are there specific people, even you yourself, are there specific people you think we ought to be held liable for what transpired in the entire process?
Yes, I said the Electoral Commission.
On your end, leave alone even rather the government. Don't you think there are some mistakes you people have committed?
No, I don't think there is.
I have heard the president say opposition has threatened violence, and he will not tolerate.
Have you had the opportunity to listen to clips or read Mr. Dr. Bote's opinion on Mr. Museveni's statements? Have you?
Not really.
No, you get time to do so. Look, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think for the first time I would want to say that sometimes some of Mr. Museveni's comments are sort of like comical. So quite clearly, the fact that you would blame the opposition on some of these things for something which is, and you're a president, you know, and you're a president who has already even had the opportunity, Comrade Awich, you know, to win an election for which you need to present yourself as an elder statesman and with humility to the country. The fact that you could go to a British television channel 4 and tell the presenter that, oh, we brought the internet, so we are free to cut it off at any time without let or hindrance, and you sort of we really don't care. No. Quite clearly, there were repeated accusations against members, particularly of NUP. Not the opposition, interestingly, and every other time there is this irritating thing that they present the opposition almost like NUP and the opposition as a global group and the opposition group almost as many suspects. Oh no, I'm a leader of the opposition, but you know what, morally, I don't want, away from my good friend Comrade Awich here, to be compared with many, many people under any administration, morally. You see what I'm saying? So, repeated claims that NUP are violent. We have said again and again and again, and I've said on platforms with Comrade Awich, and Comrade Awich and I have been on these platforms for a long time together. The big thing is, charge these people. Charge them. But number two, the majority of NUP supporters are predominantly young people. Anybody who has not studied psychology, and anybody who's not a parent who doesn't have common sense that children are energetic and sometimes can be erratic, and anybody that sometimes Mr. Museveni himself boasts that in as early as 1966 they were very impatient as young people, and they're going to their kings and chiefs to tell them that, oh, the Obote has done this thing with the constitution, give us a way to go ahead and fight. It's obviously, you know, clearly the case that, and a young 17-year-old, I'm not saying the opposition does, a young 17-year-old who sees their neighbor beaten, who sees an arrogant 22-year-old spoilt boy simply because he's the son of a dubious minister with flats and flats and flats, and they cannot afford school fees in the neighborhood, they'll be what? They'll be resentful. A young 20-year-old, 22-year-old who's graduated and has got no job and sees the injustices going on and sees NRA claiming spaces that don't belong to them in the streets of Kampala, and sees a police officer come and misbehave, and perhaps a soldier come and misbehave, those young people are more likely to react in a manner that I am less likely to. You know? So it's obviously quite commonsensical. But to bring it back to this election thing, most of the so-called alleged violences have been featured on televisions and on videos, where quite clearly gatherings do take place. Security officers, instead of talking to young people, you know, they address them like suspects and criminals. You know, for security services, they include the army, and it's an open rally. For security services, they come and you find people with masks as if they're going to the moon, or as if they're facing some kind of strange chemical thing in a war somewhere between Iran and Epstein and Donald Trump. It is quite clearly commonsensical that these things will have been provoked, even in the unlikely event that in some of these events maybe violence may have been a result of the opposition. Number two, a quick one, and I know you're closing, there were claims, repeated claims, and I sort of argued and I told some of the leaders of NUP that they needed maybe to slightly articulate this more. The Electoral Commission permanently saying that, and I think Comrade was referring to it, and I don't know whether it was today or somewhere else, that the Electoral Commission always agreed with them a particular route and they took a different one and then the scuffles take place.
Yeah, he has mentioned it.
Very rarely do you, at those spaces, hear a senior police officer saying in front of cameras that, look, you people, it was agreed that you should pass there and you're passing here. No, they're telling them you're not passing here and people are saying you're passing here. Okay. So it's not true. No, this thing is state-inspired. NRA is having a sense of entitlement and a sense of impunity. The country is fully militarized, and the idea is basically to show young people and most citizens of this country, you can't do anything to us because we have the military power. It's generally extremely unfortunate. I want to conclude that I think where we are, we've gone through the processes we're concluding this week. Whatever happens, there needs to be some humility so that there's a leadership that emerges out of NRA. And the 81 Mr. Museveni is an old man, grandfather. The guy should come out with some humility. Appreciate that he's been very lucky to rule this country for 40 years, and is a privilege of having it for another 5. All of us come together as a country and begin to look towards possibilities for our children and children's children, so that for once, Mr. Museveni, who has been a very terrible loser, should at least be a good winner for once. Be a good winner for once, and then they will find us here very good losers, because I am, for the moment I know I am at the bottom, but we're very good losers.
In regards to Mr. Andrew Irumba, now, in reference to what you have seen in the recent past, in particular these elections, with all challenges, let's not call them irregularities, how best do you think we could have avoided them?
First thing, I will be honest with you.
Don't mention the other theory of not having presidential elections. That one is
no. That one is
that one is not qualified. So other ways.
That one is finished. But now, it's going to be a tall order for Uganda to ever have fair, free, and democratic elections when the stakeholders that are supposed to conduct it are appointed by an individual who is also a candidate in the same exercise. Comrade Norman, the chairman of the Electoral Commission is given a job by a contender. The army that is given the role of taking over the entire electoral process in terms of security, the commander-in-chief is a contender. You see? In fact, even these, sometimes I laugh. Each presidential candidate is given, you think they are police officers. Perhaps these are SFC people. Now,
he will prove us otherwise.
Now, these are the people whose commander-in-chief is a contender. And they would get any information, anything that they want from you. Now, when you disagree in the election, the Supreme Court where you are running, the Chief Justice has just gotten, he has just picked his appointment, not from a public office, Nakasero, or public service, the public service here at Wandegeya.
Wandegeya.
No, he has picked it from Rakitura. And he arrived very early in the morning. He waited for the old man to come from milking his cows. He had to wait under the shade in the tree. Yeah, the man had gone to take care of his cows. Then the chief just had to wait. He comes, then gives him the appointment. In other countries where at least there is some semblance of fairness, like Ghana, like even Kenya here, the Electoral Commission chairman applies for a job through the public service, my dear. In Ghana, same style. You sit for interviews. When you fail, you go. You get it? Chief Justice. It's not an appointment. You apply for a job through the public service of that country. You sit interviews like any other, and then the best candidate does what? Wins. Norman, my extreme is that we should abolish it. I have told you already. Is that we should, but at least if you cannot do that now, because it is too extreme, start looking at some of these issues. How can, now, I have told you that the script now is ending in Supreme Court. They have gone already. But this Mr. Kasebante, I am very sure, he's 100% that he's not going to get justice from where he has gone. He knows the outcome already. But anyway, he has gone. Why? The script must end. It's like if you're in a movie star does not die at the beginning. The movie star must finish the movie. So these are script, written script. Even the opposition now today, PPF, NUP, what, calling, I have seen FDC, its conference is tomorrow in Imbali. They're going to say that they're going to recite the same things. They're going to tell the people, we reject it, but 2031, they will be mobilizing, warming up to go and participate
to
again.
write another script.
And there is nothing that will have changed. The Chief Justice will have been appointed still by the President, and I'm sure this one will still be active.
Yeah,
this one,
sure, yeah, because he's young, quite young, and he
the
has,
police commander, IGP, will be appointed by the President. The police prison will be appointed by the President. If you is still around by then, the CDF will be appointed by the President, the Chief Justice. But you will still go expecting different results. So I am saying, Mr. Ochieno, you stop hoodwinking us, you as political parties. Stop hoodwinking Ugandans.
Okay.
If you cannot do these, at least these little, my extreme would be that we should abolish. But in the
what did you achieve after you have abolished?
But because
so just saving the money.
Okay, tell me. Okay, let me also ask you.
Ask him. I am here to ask you.
No, let me also ask you. What do we achieve when we go for these elections?
Mr. Irumba, power belongs to people.
Don't
you know Article 1?
Did the people
not
did the people exercise their power this election?
Honorable
Did they leave Awich Pollar? Do you believe that the people exercise their right?
People vote?
Because power belongs to the people. And we must show that power in the ballot paper. Now in this case, you who is casting the ballot paper, your power doesn't matter. The power that matters is he who is going to count the vote and declare.
Okay.
So now what is the purpose? But if they cannot do that extreme, like I've said, all these useless press conferences I'm seeing opposition parties have started organizing, beginning with the PPF today, rally them around changing on who appoints the chairman of the Electoral Commission, who appoints the Chief Justice, and all those things, so that at least, if you say power belongs to the people, let the Chief Justice interview. Then the panel at the Ministry of Public Service, representing the people, because some of the people that will sit on the panel will be civilians. It could even be him. It could be you. So let people exercise their power by choosing their own Chief Justice through interviews. But as long as it is one individual doing it, my friend, you have an assignment when they give you a job. I'm sure even you, when you give jobs here to these people, each person has what they call KPI. Everybody's assigned responsibilities, and you are being measured according to the responsibility that your employer has given you, isn't it? Norman, if you employ a videographer here, it is you who knows
the expectations.
Hey.
Okay.
So if somebody has appointed, the electoral commission chairman,
wait a second.
You don't know the KPIs.
What are the expectations of the appointing authority of the electoral commission?
That's the point I'm saying, that you and I don't know.
Honorable Awich.
You are choosing him. You man, you are unfair. But do you know the KPIs? that he gave him.
Honorable Awich, we want to...
you understand?
We are short of time. We have strictly 7 minutes. I want you to use 4, of course, with your closing remarks, then cross to Mr. Ochieno with closing remarks, and again to Irumba with closing remarks. First of all, yeah, I'm giving you 4 minutes, but of course by asking you...
4 is too much. Give him 2.
Okay. You said you don't have enough to say, but anyway, are we in a political script? Is it a play? Some bit of a drama?
It's a movie.
This page
Movie
1,
with
page
scripts.
2, then act like this.
No,
Movie
we
with
are not.
scripts.
We are not in the script.
Okay, no, we are not, and I will explain
You give us
briefly.
even a way forward.
But
in
on
those,
the issue of
30%.
violence, I don't know whether the congressman knows that UPC is very violent.
Sorry?
Yeah, because I have video recordings that I can assure
Repeat,
you.
ask.
I have video recording that I can
Where
assure
UPC is
you.
very...
Yes, in Lira, where UPC caused lots of violence. In fact, in Lira, ideally, NRM being a ruling party, it should be the one intimidating. Instead of state intimidation, it was state intimidated. and by the way,
UPC was intimidating the
yes,
people in
and by
power.
the way, it goes further than that. Some of us have chosen to keep quiet. Because even the council at the district, in some of those districts are dominated by UPC.
That's true.
Even mere contract, awarding a contract, if you bid, if you're NRM, you don't.
Hey.
But some of us have chosen to ignore and said, okay, do what you want. But it is
How violent
true
is
that
UPC?
in the last election, violence are recorded from UPC beating NRM supporters. And that is why, for me, I didn't want to go to the detail. I said we should lift the veil and make violence, apportioning blame, be actor specific. If it is NRM who is alleged to have done it in a particular place, we point as such. If it is UPC, we appoint as such. So I wanted to say, much as I made a general statement, and because it would not help us to be partitioned here and cover, for example, NRM, which is seen to have been involved in violence, or whichever actor. And that's why I made the statement, a general statement, that apportioning blame for violence should be actor specific.
Was this Betty?
I just wanted to tell you.
Jane Kim?
Yes, I just wanted to tell you that in Lira, UPC unleashed a lot of violence. That is very unfortunate.
Those are two. Those are two NRM candidates, except one was putting on.
Now the other thing is a Comrade Irumba's need for amendment of constitution for appointment to different offices.
Yeah. Would you support that?
I have always said
Yeah,
that the law is made by the people, and I've always said that laws are not hard and frozen. They are not casted on stones. The current legal dispensation was based on the understanding at that time that the system works. And one of the checkpoints was that if you nominate parliament vets, we have had people, President Museveni appoint them for cabinet position, and parliament rejects. So by the time these laws were made, we thought these safeguards were enough. And we know in a jurisdiction like Kenya, the approach is different. Therefore, we have elected leaders. Let them move on and see it. Laws are not casted on stones. But we, me, including NRM, thought that the current dispensation, especially with checks and the safety catch at the appointments committee, which we know throughout Saleh Kamba, the former mayor was who, many people, Daisy, Basie, some lady from Busoga, so many people have been thrown out of disappointments committee. So we thought that these safety measures were enough. But if they are not enough, laws are not casted on stones, they are hard and frozen. Then on the question of the script, you see,
because he seems to be someone in a theater. He watches you act the script.
Not at all. And that's what I refer to as like, after we have successfully and convincingly won, our opponents, or not even opponents, other commentators,
he didn't follow the script.
many commentators chose to delve into conspiracy theories, and in a bid to either make people convinced that the win was not genuine, or even to live in a consolation dream world that it wasn't. But otherwise, this is a governing country where there's no anarchy at all. There's rule of law. We are not living in a situation like Somalia used to be. We have the constitution. We have all the laws applicable. Even before we went to these elections, we asked, is there any need for amendment? No. Are the election commission given the right logistics? Yes. The money? Yes. The laws they need? Yes. Have they got personnel? Yes. How about the other political parties? Have they conformed? So everything is done broadly, scientifically, and honestly. Whoever chooses to see it as a script, maybe because it is the laid out principles. You know, when you lay out principles and the law is unrolling, it may appear to you like a script. And we have nothing to do, wrong about that, if we are being lawful and follow with things in the sequence that it be.
I do not know why I continue being convinced to ask you finally in these last seconds of your time, and then across to the rest of the colleagues to give their closing remarks. Like they mentioned, and you and Irumba know the maxim of racial desdendi, where someone ought to give maybe reasons for which they have made such a decision. I still want to ask you on behalf of the victors now, NRM, why did the chairman EC consult the president, not any other candidates, to shift and accept the application of the register?
I already told you that I don't have evidence that he did consult. That's why I told you you want me to talk on rumors. Okay. You are still bringing back your rumor discussion here. But my final conclusion is, my final conclusion is that this is my first appearance here after the election. Ideally, I would have come here like we used to do in Tare School after a victory. And for us, victory is not individual. The school, when the school results come so well, we have a recording of a roar of a lion connected to a speaker, like the one for Muslims. So it would roar, and we would come with our collar raised. So I should have come here with my raised collar.
With your collar raised.
And then and I keep quiet because, and I thank the Ugandan voters for listening to our message, listening to my message, and voting wisely. Okay. We owe you the duty to accomplish the manifesto that we gave you. Okay,
kindly, your closing remarks, and then Andrew Irumba's closing remarks, and we shall leave here.
We've just concluded a script, and Comrade Awich is celebrating.
Is he one of the actors?
Is one of the actors, they're chest thumping, and unfortunately, business as usual. Nagongara Road is continuing to be as bumpy. I hope it's done this over the next few years. People will continue to die in hospitals
in a few seconds
without medicine. The last free and fair competitive multi-party election in this country was in 1980, which ended in lost. Okay. Unfortunately, nothing is going to change on the basis of your topic until Mr. Museveni either hears from God or we have some major fundamental change in this country.
Mr. Irumba.
Thank you so much, my brother, for inviting me here. Once again,
it's a pleasure.
I believe that Uganda can be much better if we had honest leaders. As whether we have them now, I want to leave that for the next debate if we ever meet. Okay. Thank you so much.
Our viewers, that's Mr. Andrew Irumba. He speaks what others fear. We had Honorable Awich Pollar, the victor, and of course, Mr. Joseph Ochieno. We wish you a good night for now. See you some other time.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.